A German family was enjoying a peaceful morning aboard one of Europe's fastest trains. They were sipping coffee, laughing, and watching the countryside rush by. The train had departed from Munich, heading toward Hamburg. Everything was perfectly normal at 10:30 a.m. But just 12 minutes later, something happened that would change their lives forever. From beneath their seats, a sharp burst of metal pierced through the train-ass floor, a jagged piece of steel tearing upward between their legs. It looked like a nightmare, but it was real, and that moment marked the beginning of Germany's deadliest high-speed train disaster. Welcome to American Lens. Today, we revisit a tragedy that shook the modern world of transportation, the Ashide train disaster. Back in the late 1950s, Japan stunned the world by introducing the Shinkansen, the world's first bullet train. It connected Japanese cities like never before, turning hours-long journeys into short, seamless trips. Soon after, France and Italy followed, and eventually, Germany launched its own high-speed network, the Intercity Express, or simply ICE. By the 1980s, the ICE was hailed as the future of rail travel, sleek, computerized, and incredibly comfortable. It seemed perfect. But every perfect system hides a flaw, and for the ICE, that flaw lay in its wheels. Originally, ICE trains used monoblock wheels, solid one-piece steel designs that were strong, simple, and reliable. But soon passengers began to complain about strange vibrations at high speed. In dining cars, glasses and cutlery rattled uncontrollably. When engineers inspected the trains, they found that the wheels were becoming unbalanced. At 200+ km/h, even a small wear pattern caused the train to shake violently. Balancing car tires is easy. Balancing dozens of steel wheels on a 400-ton train? Nearly impossible, and very expensive. So German engineers came up with a new idea: resilient wheels. Unlike solid wheels, these had an inner and outer ring separated by a rubber layer, designed to absorb vibrations. The design had worked perfectly on city trams, which ran at only 30 km/h. But no one realized how dangerous it could be on a train running 8 times faster, 250 km/h. Without proper long-term testing, the new wheels were approved and installed on every high-speed ICE by 1992. For a few years, everything seemed fine, until 1997. A tram company in Hanover, called Östra, noticed small cracks appearing in their resilient wheels. They immediately warned Deutsche Bahn, Germany's national railway. But because no ICE train had yet shown visible damage, the warning was quietly ignored. And then, exactly 1 year later, the unthinkable happened. June 3, 1998, 10:30 a.m. ICE train. Number 884 departed Hanover for Hamburg. 14 cars, 287 passengers, 8 crew members. Everything was running smoothly, until a piece of steel ripped through the floor of the first passenger car. It was part of a wheel, broken apart mid-run. A passenger named George Dittman saw it happen. He grabbed his family and ran to alert the conductor. At that moment, the train was racing at 125 miles per hour, 200 km/h. By the time they returned, the train had already traveled 3 more kilometers, straight into a danger zone, a rail switch where tracks split into 2. The broken steel piece, now hanging beneath the train, struck the track switching lever, and the rails suddenly shifted. The first 2 cars continued straight, but the third car veered off to another track. Within seconds, the entire train snapped and twisted. Car number 3 slammed directly into a bridge pillar. The bridge collapsed. 2 following cars were crushed beneath 300 tons of concrete, compressed down to just 6 inches in height. The rear coaches crumpled and piled up like paper. Only the first 2 cars, where George and his family sat, remained intact. Nearby villagers in the small town of Eschede heard what they thought was an explosion. When they arrived, they were met with a vision of pure devastation. Twisted metal, fire, screams, and silence. Rescue teams rushed in from across the region. Thousands of emergency workers, doctors, and soldiers. But by then, it was already too late. 101 people died. 88 were seriously injured. Dozens more escaped with minor wounds, but none without trauma. The world was stunned. Countries with high-speed rail networks, France, Italy, Japan, all feared they could be next. Investigations later revealed that the very wheel which broke apart had been reported 8 times for a flat spot problem. It was never replaced. Crack detection tools existed, but inspections were done by flashlight, by hand. Even worse, as far back as 1992, a German research institute had warned that resilient wheels were unsafe for high-speed use. No one listened. Engineers later explained that each wheel rotated 500,000 times per day, at extreme stress. The rubber layer that made the ride smooth also hid the cracks forming deep inside. And so, on June 3, 1998, one single wheel failure caused the deadliest high-speed train crash in history. Today, it's remembered as the Eschede disaster. After the tragedy, Germany immediately replaced all resilient wheels with solid monoblocks again. Bridges and rail junctions were reinforced with new safety systems. Windows on trains were redesigned so passengers could break them during emergencies. Even today, in railway training centers across Germany, the Eschede crash is taught as a lesson that speed will never be more important than safety. This was American Lens, uncovering real stories that changed the modern world. If you learned something new today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because sometimes the past teaches us lessons that save the future.